The first set of gaps is to do with the emission reductions. Scientific estimates suggest that the current set of pledges that are there on the table would lead to global emissions of between 48 to 53 gigatons in 2020. And what this will lead to is a rise of more than 3 degrees Celsius of temperatures by the end of this century. However, a rise of more than 2 degrees Celsius, according to scientific opinion, is going to be catastrophic. So that's one big gap that we have. And what we are seeing are already, what could happen in the future. So for example, in my country, in the northern part of India, we are having an unprecedented heat wave. In the month of May, we've had a huge number of days with temperatures breaking records all the time, and there have been deaths. People actually have died because of the heat, and that's something unusual. Indians are pretty resilient; they're used to handling heat. What we are also seeing in the Gulf of Mexico, in the southern coast of the USA, is the dangers of continued addiction to fossil fuels, and that in itself is a catastrophe. Finally, every single moment that we do not act has costs. There are implications of that. So for example, the International Energy Agency calculates that the cost of delay is around $500 billion per year. The other thing that I want to say, which is significant about the pledges of especially the developed countries, is that they still have these escape routes in the whole system, where actually they can collectively raise their emissions by 2020. Okay, and so that's the other big problem that we have. The second set of gaps, so to speak, which is there in the negotiations, is the gap to do with money. Before the Copenhagen conference, the UNFCCC itself had come out with a estimate that about $300 billion was required for mitigation and adaptation action, or for supporting mitigation and adaptation action in developing countries. A whole host of organizations, including NGOs and other institutions, had given estimates ranging between $200 billion per annum to even $1 trillion per annum. What we had finally coming out from the developed countries in terms of a number to be put on the table was $100 billion, which is a combination. It is a combination of public and private financing, and to mobilize that financing through various sources. And a lot of these sources are uncertain. We don't know whether the $100 billion that is to be mobilized by 2020 will actually be achieved or not. In addition, there was a promise by developed countries to provide immediate funding for adaptation and mitigation to vulnerable developing countries of the order of $10 billion per annum for 3 years, starting from 2010 to 2012. And what we are seeing is that actually there is no clarity on whether that $10 billion is going to be realized or not, and the second thing is whether that money, which was supposed to be new and additional, is indeed going to be new and additional or not. And that's yet another gap. What these two gaps lead to, in turn, is a gap in the negotiating process of good faith and goodwill. And that in itself is a paralyzing process which wastes time. Now, having said that, I think there's enough time by Cancun, if there was political resolve, and we need to see whether that political resolve is now in evidence or not in the next 2 weeks, is to actually fill these gaps and lead to a filling of the trust gap or the trust deficit, if you were to put it that way. what we need and what has not changed after Copenhagen is a comprehensive climate deal. We need that deal because we need to ensure the survival of not just the human race but life as we know on this planet. And what we believe is that this can be done. And I'll stop here and hand over to my colleague, Alden, who will fill in the details.